Earth, a 4.5 billion year old planet which at one time had no oxygen, meaning life was non existent. Life on Earth arose from the first simple single-celled organisms. In time, a simple cell absorbs another simple cell, creating the first symbiotic relationship as well as the first eukaryotic cells. Slowly, these cells began to form colonies, causing multicellular life. After a long period of time, a vast development and growth of fungi, protists, plants, and animals appeared in water on the Earth's surface. These organisms eventually traveled on land where they developed and bred. Soon, the Earth was covered with evergreen forests, a variety of plants, fungi, protists, and animals in water and on land. As populations of communities grew larger, the formation of ecosystems began among species. Ecosystems were formed in all kinds of locations, including aquatic rainforests, savannas, forests, and prairie. Years later, humans were formed from apes. As we evolved, our brains got more intelligent, which led us to power over the entire Earth. We created brilliant tools, agriculture, buildings, and infrastructure. We formed our own ecosystems, some known as New York, Toronto, and Paris. We had lights, we made music, we built cars, but we soon got very carried away because while creating our own communities and ecosystems, we were destroying others. Along with that came an abundance of garbage, gas leaks, and spillage, deforestation, and air pollution, primarily from the many oil rigs, and not to mention light pollution from growing cities and communities. Every place on Earth has somehow been affected by pollution. Look at any ecosystem, and there is a possibility that it has been affected by multiple forms of contamination. Many examples include city skies covered in smog, trash and overflowing landfills, and many toxic chemicals floating in waters. Humans are known to be connected to most or even all types of pollution. Some of these pollutions including ocean litter. Litter in the world's oceans can come from many sources. Some can be equipment, containers, or nets from fishing boats, or trash that drift into the city's rivers and then directly into the ocean. And other pollution comes from landfills that supply unwanted oils, diesels, and other toxic wastes into the ocean. This can affect sea creatures and life in the ocean dramatically by severely injuring or making them sick, or in some cases, it can be fatal. Over the years, the use of pesticides and fertilizers have increased in order to fuel crop production and essentially bring in more money for farmers. But there is many environmental controversies with the use of these toxic products. These controversies have been brought to attention due to the chemicals polluting nearby land and water. The presence of these toxins can alter the nutrient system in freshwater and marine ecosystems. This can result in a large growth of algae due to unrestricted nutrients, which depletes dissolved oxygen from the water, and the outcome may involve fatalities of multiple aquatic lives. Air pollution is often forgot about by today's society. This type of pollution comes in multiple forms, like the burning of fossil fuels, mostly caused from cars and plants, large amounts of carbon dioxide being released in the air, causing climate change, and oil rigs and other manufacturing companies emitting the noxious gases, including carbon monoxide and nitrogen dioxide. Another way of emitting air pollution is inside buildings where humans are either cooking or smoking. Air pollution can not only impact animals, but also humans through breathing and growing our organic food in chemical-rich air. The last type of pollution we're going to talk about is noise and light pollution. Noise and light pollution mainly impact animals. For instance, in the Arctic, oil and gas factories create loud sound waves causing problems for belugas, bowhead whales, and many other aquatic life when trying to feed or breed in the ocean. As well, light pollution can impact baby sea turtles in the early stages of birth. Baby sea turtles, after being hatched, are almost programmed to follow the light, which would be the moon, to the ocean, but many man-made lights have stayed on during these hatching periods, causing baby turtles to travel away from the ocean. The world is being polluted every day due to human action. Because of these actions, impacts on our world have become visible. Examples of these impacts include water pollution. As we know, clean water is crucial to any organism's survival on Earth. Sadly, water has been polluted from different toxins and waste that have been dumped and spread around these large masses of water. Despite the efforts to clean out the mess, many of the waters today are still considered unsanitary. Another impact is harmful algae blooms and dead zones, which are caused by chemicals found in pesticides and fertilizers. The blooms form when there is an increased level of nitrogen and phosphate. This increased level creates an overabundance of nutrients, which leads to an unsafe environment for marine life and mostly leads to deaths. Dead zones form when the toxins die off, which leads to bacteria sucking oxygen out of the water, creating another non-sustainable environment in marine life. Another impact is acid rain. Acid rain forms when water in Earth's atmosphere mixes with certain toxins, some including sulfur dioxide and nitrogen, which are emitted from factories burning fossil fuels. When these two substances are mixed, mild acidic compounds are created. Acid rain can stress out marine life at low levels, but in high levels can kill them up to seconds. Acid rain also contributes to contaminating soil, weakening of the trees, and is responsible for some air pollution. In conclusion, biological science is far from simple. There is great complexity in the identification, naming, and classification of living things. In order to really appreciate the many organisms on Earth, it is imperative to understand how these organisms are related to one another and the importance of their relationships to each other. This brings to mind how important it is for human nature to respect and preserve the land we live on, known as Earth. Human relationships with plants and animals are critical, and humans with the intelligence must take every effort to ensure that we have a healthy and safe environment as we move from generation to generation on our planet. Most importantly, the relationships between all living organisms must be taken seriously so that all living creatures on Earth, in their own way, can sustain and adapt to life in years to come. If you're interested in donating to this cause, visit worldwildlife.com.